everyone, and welcome to our Q&A number 2. We hope you enjoyed Q&A 1 as much as we had fun doing it, but we do realise that we had quite a number of questions and we didn't get through them all. And the other thing we had a problem was we ran out of battery on our microphone, so we're reshooting Q&A 2.
Yeah, we just weren't happy with the audio on the answers to the second half of the Q&A that we were planning on putting in part 2. So we decided questions are there, we can just reshoot it.
Do it all over again.
Fully charged battery in the boom mic, and actually put on our cordless mics as well, so that we've got a redundancy this time.
Yeah, make sure you do it right.
Well, that's the way we go sailing. We always try and have a redundancy, but
plan A, plan B, plan C, we're getting there.
Yeah, so we're on plan B. So part 2 of our Q&A, questions that people have sent in to us via our social media. Yes. Part 1 has had a really good response, and we thank everyone that's had a look and commented, etc. And let's get straight into it. The first question we're going to deal with in this part is from Nicola Breeze. Have you found insurance difficult for overseas sailing? Short answer, we haven't found it difficult.
No.
It is expensive. There's no question about that.
However, I feel that expense, when we go sailing overseas, you go sailing for quite a number of months, in our case years at times, and it's not that expensive when you put it down to airfares to somewhere.
Oh yeah, if you compare it to it going on a holiday.
Yeah.
But our Australian domestic policy is just over $2,000 a year for this boat. As soon as we go overseas, it's close to, well, last time we went overseas, it was closer to $5,000 a year. But as you say, if you amortise it across the amount of time that you're overseas, and I mean that 5,000 is for a full year, and if you take out that policy, we're with Pentanis, we'll say that, and we've been able to deal very well with them. When we go overseas, we have to take out the full year of international insurance coverage.
And it depends where you're sailing as well.
Yeah, the price depends exactly the area you're sailing. But if we come back after 3 months and notify them that we're back in Australian waters, what they did last time was they credited us the other 9 months and actually refunded it into our account. So it, while it sounds expensive, you wouldn't go without it, and you can't go into a lot of marinas without it.
That's right.
And some countries now are insisting you have it when at check-in.
And check-in, that's right. And especially for their environmental side of things, you know, they don't want yachts or any boat arriving that's not insured, who actually does have a major problem and oil spill and that sort of thing. So we understand it totally.
Yep. So the short answer is we haven't had any trouble getting our international coverage through Pentanis. No. But compared to domestic Australian insurance, it is certainly a lot more expensive, and no doubt getting more expensive, you know, by the year, just the way the whole industry is going, with less and less underwriters willing to write maritime insurance.
Isn't it? Yeah, that's insurance, and unfortunately it's one of those, you know, evils
you've got to have.
Got to have, yeah.
So we hope that's answered it for you, Nicola. The next question's from John C. Does filming for your YouTube channel interfere with you enjoying the journey?
Well, no, John, it doesn't actually. We don't always film every day, and the days that we are filming, we feel that we're recording our log, and why we're doing the YouTube channel is more so for a creative outlet, artistic outlet. So we put as much effort into it as what we want. We enjoy the process of filming, of editing, music choice. All of those things are actually part of doing our creative. Yeah,
it's our hobby. We really enjoy the process, as Karen said. It's a creative process, and no, it doesn't really interfere. It's not as if, oh God, here we are in paradise and we've got to go and record today.
If we don't want to record, we don't.
Yeah, we'll go and have a swim and do some fishing and eat some crab, whatever. But we try and record enough of our journey, so to speak, and our adventures to be a log of what we're doing. to produce hopefully something that's entertaining for the viewers that are following along. But primarily it is our hobby. We really do enjoy the process, and we hope that you enjoy coming along with us.
Yeah, the vlog, as in the YouTube, has not taken over because we still write the blog, but because technology has changed and people don't read blogs as much as they watch YouTube, we have just developed from that. So from writing blogs, coming through to now doing vlogging, and so there's a crossover there. And we enjoy the creative process of writing as well. That's why the blog's there.
Yeah, I come from a television sports presenting background, so I'm no stranger to being this side of the camera. But the actual editing and shooting, etc., we're all new to. When we first went sailing, I took a camera and our plan was to record everything and do some videos. YouTube was very young.
Very young. We would have been one of the very first.
Yes, yeah.
Along with Distant Shores, who was doing it at the time.
Yeah, and probably Delos, but yeah. That was back in 2011. Shot all the footage of our trip as we left Cairns, headed through Southeast Asia, and that's when it really did feel like work, because it wasn't that long that I'd left that area. Right. And I was writing the blog and I was shooting all this footage, and I was really enjoying the writing process, not so much the filming, and all of that footage is just sitting on mini digital tapes. Mini
digital? Does anyone out there know what those are?
And one day in my doterage I might get around to...
In your doterage, I love that.
Might get around to editing it up, but if we'd started then, we might have been one of the leading YouTube channels instead of a dear old Dreamtime sail, just in the little scale.
Doesn't matter that we're down there at the little scale.
But now with the new technology and with so action cameras and 360s and all of the things that are available, drones, it's so much more interesting and creative process. Wouldn't it have been cool
to have drones back then when we first went into Asia?
Oh, wow. Komodo National Park and places like that.
Yeah. Absolutely wonderful.
Anyway, the bottom line is it doesn't interfere with us having fun. It actually adds to the fun for us.
Yes.
Rebecca asked, you mentioned Patreon on your Facebook. What is it?
Oh, okay. Well, Rebecca, Patreon is very much from the old days of, aristocrats who used to pay for artists to continue their work and to develop their work. And there is now a modern platform, which is Patreon, and Patreons can assist artists, creatives in all forms of creative works, from visual artists to music to video, and they have a way of payment to them, whether it be on a monthly basis, per episode, per CD, that sort of thing. So it's just a way for people to assist in the creatives.
Yes, certainly, and in our case and in the case of YouTube channels, it's entered the world of high technology now, where it's a website, and people with like us in any sort of creative sphere can have a Patreon account. And the way it works is people that appreciate what we do and would like to help us along the way to keep doing it, you just go in and sign up and commit to less than a cup of coffee a month, or an episode of the YouTube,
whichever way you choose.
And for us, I mean, we're out sailing, we're going to do that anyway, because that's the life decision that we made. But doing the YouTube channel, I mean, we've got to pay our Adobe Suite subscription every month for the software to use Adobe Premiere editing program. We have to pay for Epidemic Sound to provide the music, the copyright approved music. Do we chew through hard drives putting this footage on hard drives?
Well, now, everything is 4K, so you're just using, so much.
And very expensive for actually just internet data, because we can't get, land-based internet. It's all just going through literally our phone. So the data per month to do the video uploads and everything, that's a little bit expensive as well. So
we do try to use, what should I say, internet-free cafes and such. But
where available.
where available. But,
they're actually a bit rare in Australia. Overseas,
very
they're
rare
far
in
more
Australia,
common,
yeah.
but in Australia
Yeah.
it's a little bit harder. And if you try McDonald's, it's really slow. It is horribly slow.
You spend more on McDonald's coffees than you do.
So the bottom line there is that people that appreciate our videos and enjoy watching them every week or every fortnight, depending on what schedule we're on at the time, for just a couple of dollars, sign up to Patreon, and that helps us pay for all of those things and
bring it
and improvements to
yeah,
our camera and sound gear and all that
yes.
sort of thing. Well, just as we're getting ready to go sailing again, we've just lashed out and got a new computer for the editing and some new camera equipment, microphones.
And the biggest thing was microphones. We have, and we admit we've always struggled with sound. It's really difficult on board with the wind, engine noises, that sort of thing. You can't just zip into a studio, can you, and do a beautiful voiceover. There's always something going on, clang clang of halyards.
Yeah.
So we now have some good mics. So we hope this season coming we bring you some excellent audio levels.
We'll be trying our best because we're going to learn how to get the most out of all of that gear.
Yeah.
So I hope you enjoy watching it all develop as we go. So that's the Patreon story. There is a link in the description of the video each time for our Patreon.
Yes.
And it's no pressure, but for anyone that does want to jump on board and just help us out, it's just really appreciated. Those Patreons do get a few benefits in that we release our videos early. They get to not only see them early, but they also get to see them ad-free until we publish them.
That's
and then the ads are on.
They also get other little benefits. They get merchandise, they get updates from us. They have a tracker where they can see where we are live all the time.
Yeah, once we go sailing,
Yeah,
it'll be
that's
live, and
right.
you'll be able to see exactly where we are for on our Patreon page.
Yeah. So there are little extra benefits of being a Patreon as well. And at that stage, I'll also mention Ko-fi, Ko-fi, which is the coffee brand. That's also a platform where people can donate just by throwing in a coffee or put in an amount, and they get regular updates.
It's a one-off,
as well.
isn't
It's
it?
a one-off, that's right.
So if someone wants to throw us $5,
Throw us $5.
it's through Ko-fi. You can go in and do that, and it's simple. So hey, we're not begging. We're just saying those people that do appreciate what we do and would like to help us along.
Thankfully we do
appreciate
have
them.
some really lovely Patreons along the way with us as crew, which is fabulous.
A question for Karen from Abby. How much freezer space do you have on board, and do you think a freezer is required?
Yes, we do have a freezer on board, and we have a 75-litre freezer, which I absolutely love. Do you require to have one on board? No, you don't. The reason, one of the tick boxes for us here on our Dreamtime when we bought her was that she did have freezer space, because for offshore sailing and cruising, it is an amazing help for you. It means that you can buy food, protein, obviously, at cheaper prices when you're in larger ports, and the opportunity then to freeze down fish that you catch is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, without a freezer,
Yes.
if we have a little bit of a bare patch where we're not catching fish, I could end up having to eat canned baked beans, and I'm not a fan.
No, so do you need it? No, of course you don't. We know of cruisers, of course, that don't have a freezer, and when they are doing longer passages, they use a little Engel or a Waco, and they use that as their freezer, and then at other times they just use it as their beer fridge.
Good plan.
So you get that added. But do you need one? No, you don't. We cruised the Mediterranean for 2 years with no freezer. We had the cold plate like most internal fridges do, and when I bought frozen food, I popped it against that and it kept it frozen for a number of days, and we used it as it thawed out as such. So you don't need a freezer, and it really depends on where you are sailing. That's my take on it. It depends on the region.
Yeah, that's my view as well. I mean, for going offshore, I really want a freezer. I know Karen says you can get away without it, but if we're going offshore and going for extended periods of, you know, a couple of weeks, a couple of months at times, it makes life so much more pleasant to have one. If you're coastal sailing, like we did in the Mediterranean, no need whatsoever.
No need, because you can pop in and out and get fresh protein all the time.
So, Abby, it all comes down to where you're going to sail.
Where you're going to sail, yes.
Karen Wheeler asks, where do you prefer sailing, Australia or the Mediterranean?
Oh, Karen, what a hard one. They are so very different. And that's the point. They are so different. The Mediterranean for us was full of beautiful different cuisines, cultures, history, art, you name it. It actually has it, including the beaches, the water. But Australia is home, and we're close to family. We've got the Great Barrier Reef. We've got tropical islands that...
Yeah. And the Great Barrier Reef is one of the best cruising grounds in the world, bar none. You know, it matches the Caribbean. It matches the Mediterranean for mine as a cruising ground. The difference for us as Australians in the Mediterranean, it's all a world of wonder. As Karen was saying, it's the history and the culture and the food. The food's unbelievable. You know, in Australia, well, the food for us is probably better out on the boat catching the fish. And Karen's our galley work.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the nice thing about being in our waters is catching the seafood in our backyard.
Yeah, in the Mediterranean in 2 years we caught one fish. One fish in 2 years.
And that wasn't because we weren't trying, it's just so fished out. So,
there's not as much, and I think obviously we were using our fishing techniques, which work great here, not so good there. So Australia or the Mediterranean.
We would go back to the Mediterranean tomorrow and sail, but family is here, so we want to be close to family. So Australia, Asia is the closest bit for us at the moment.
Yeah, that's kind of the situation. They're both unbelievable. These are sort of related questions. Chloe asks, what is the best destination you've sailed to? James says, where in the world would you like to sail the most? It all comes down to destinations, and they're all different.
Yeah, I would say, Chloe, you know, one of the outstanding destinations that I remember is we had a 800 nautical mile sail from Italy in Monfalcone to Malta. And it was horrible weather. We had 60 knot bora bearing down on us. We had major seas. We had ice on the boat. We had ice dripping off the boom. I mean, things like that. I wondered why we were actually out there. I actually asked Rob, I thought we were doing this for fun. Why are we out here, you know? However, the weather cleared and we had blue skies the morning that we arrived in Malta, and we sailed into Grand Harbour, Malta.
And Grand Harbour, Malta is centuries old rock walls and
turrets, and the place is just amazing.
It's like sailing back 300 years, 400 years, 500 years, whatever.
But if we'd entered Grand Harbour in the pouring rain, which we'd had, and 60 knot winds,
we would be saying,
I'd be giving you a very different answer to being in Malta and going into Grand Harbour.
Yeah, I think it's the same everywhere. Up the Queensland coast, we've got a couple of islands that we've stayed at and had glorious times. HUMMOCKY Island, just near Cape Capricorn is one. Further north is HEXHAM Island. Both of those islands, we were the only boat there. We had our own private island, glorious sand beaches, beautiful coral, fantastic weather, glassed out water. It was fantastic.
But you talk to others,
and they'll tell you that they're absolutely awful.
Place to go to. So it's one of those things, isn't it? That
because
it's weather dependent when you go sailing.
For probably 25 out of 30 days, those islands have horrible swell coming around with really rolly anchorages where you can't get sleep at night, or the weather's good and there's 27 boats trying to all pack in there. So someone else will say they're not great destinations. We'll say they're amongst the best destinations we've ever been to. It's just the conditions have so much to do with it.
And you don't have to go far either to find, you know, fantastic destinations. Wherever you are on, you know, in Australia, there's always something beautiful to see. You don't have to be cruisers.
Moreton Bay here in Brisbane is actually
so much
glorious.
to offer.
Yeah. You know, just get onto the other side of the bay, on the inside of the islands, Moreton Island, Stradbroke Island, and of course Horseshoe is on Peel Island.
Always very popular, but
on Moreton Island, Sandhills is one of our favourite places to go.
Beautiful beaches and so much to see, and you know, the underwater world's beautiful too there.
And for James, where in the world would you like to sail the most? It's pretty much the same sort of story.
Yeah.
I love going new places and discovering new things.
Yes, I think we're both after adventure. We're both after seeing new and doing new. It's
just how whether you're limited in your adventure. We some years ago we had the offer to join as crew on a fantastic boat for the fantastic owner skipper to do a circumnavigation of the Americas over a 5-year period, which is like go right up north and into the Arctic and through the Northwest Passage, around Alaska, all the way down the south around Cape Horn across to Antarctica.
Georges,
St George, the Falklands, and all the way back to the Chesapeake. And I was signing up now.
Yes. Karen said no.
Karen said, I've done this cold weather sailing and I don't want to do that. I want to be under a coconut tree again.
Coconut and cocktails is more my style instead of ice and boots.
Yeah, but I was looking forward to the polar bears. But yeah. So unfortunately we had to turn Steve down, which is... but we went off and did other things, which were fantastic.
That's right.
The Mediterranean, I loved. We talked about that a moment ago. I could sail the Mediterranean for years and years and years.
You could.
But it's a really expensive airfare to come home, and it's a really expensive airfare for any of your family or friends to join you there. Yeah. And that's probably what we missed most. In the 2 years we were over there, Karen's parents were able to visit us once.
And we had 2 sets of friends that were able to
visit for a week or so.
Yeah.
In a 2-year period.
It's really difficult when people are working and you know still to come and join you. So
it's 2 days out of your life to get there, 2 days out of your life to get back.
Yeah.
You know, and people that are not as time free as like us.
But where would we like to sail the most? We could probably both say that we would go back to the Mediterranean.
Yeah. If family weren't a consideration.
Yeah.
Instead, we've been sailing Australia, which is absolutely great.
It's such a hardship to sail Australia.
Yeah, we've had to put up with the Great Barrier Reef, and you know, it's we are planning, if all the stars align, we're planning to venture a bit further afield.
So what's the next one?
Make it count sailing. They're asking, what is your favourite anchorage at Fraser Island?
Wow.
Ooh, same story.
Well, yeah, Fraser Island has amazing, you know, from beaches, anchorages, things to do, 4-wheel driving. There's so much to actually do on Fraser Island. And again, it depends on weather. We've held out in Gary's anchorage, I don't know how many times, for a week or more because of weather. It's a great bolt hole, isn't it? We just go there, and we also love it because of the seafood we can harvest from there. It's great for crabbing, it's great for fishing, you know, all that sort of things.
I'll make it simple. Wathumba Creek is fantastic. All of Platypus Bay is actually beautiful in a southeaster. Moon Point, if you've got something that's coming from the sort of east through north, it's a great place to duck into. Kingfisher Bay is a good experience.
Yes.
The resort's there. There's a tavern there, freshwater pool.
And
you're welcome to use.
Yachties to
they
come
welcome
in.
cruises.
They do.
Fantastic anchorages. Now, if it's blowing 40 knots from anywhere, I want to be in Gary's anchorage.
Yeah.
Okay, it's nowhere near as
60 knots from anywhere.
it's nowhere near as attractive, but it is so well protected, and we've sat out there a number of times.
Yeah, we
and
have.
guys,
Yeah.
we'll put links in the episode description below to our episodes with each of those
Episodes
anchorages
and
in.
blogs, because we've actually got some detailed information in
So
the
if
blog.
you're after a bit more information about any of those, just have a look in the comments, and you can find some more on other episodes or the blog. Here's one. Mike Taylor wants to know, living aboard, how do you have a break from each other?
Lots of our friends actually go, how do you live on board with each other for so long? Well, this one we actually did set up, guys, because this is something we do this quite a lot.
So simply, I can disappear into watching a video, listening to music, whatever, doing editing.
I can disappear with my sound cancelling Sonys and I can listen to music. Again, I can watch YouTube. I can have music on whilst I'm painting. It's great. And we probably don't do it purposely to get away from each other, but we do have time out from each other.
Yeah, and we're probably a little bit unusual in that we did work together in business for many years and spent 24/7. And to be honest, we're more comfortable together than apart. We're just used to it. So it's no hardship for us. But it is nice every now and then just to I guess zone out with a little bit of me time. We watch so much stuff together. We have different interests. Sometimes I'll just want to watch something, and Karen will be into another great cooking show or whatever.
Yes. You'll normally find me watching Nigella.
Douglas Adams asks, what do you think is the most important safety equipment to have on board? I might start this one.
Yeah.
The most important safety aspect for me is a strong, safe boat.
Absolutely.
Start with the boat in the first place, and if you look after it, she'll look after you. We chose this Whitby 42 Ketch. She's 40-year-old.
September.
In a matter of in a few weeks' time. And she is the perfect boat for us with what we want to do with some long distance offshore cruising, etc. Start with the right safe boat and have confidence in your boat, and then obviously after that it's the basic equipment. EPIRB, we have an EPIRB in the cockpit. We now have a float off EPIRB on the stern, so if the boat, heaven forbid, is underwater, it'll float off and start transmitting automatically. We have an EPIRB in the life raft. So once it's ejected and we leave the boat, if we didn't take one of the others with us, we've still got an EPIRB.
We've got an EPIRB each.
Yep, we've got a PLB, personal locator beacon, which is a personal EPIRB,
which is attached
to our life jacket.
Yes.
You know, so that's called the cavalry material.
Yeah, we have a man overboard beacon also in our life vest.
Yeah, the AIS, man overboard beacon.
And for me, I think for both of us, it's just a peace of mind that whilst we're off watch, especially at night, that if one does happen to go overboard, that's going to wake up the other. So that's quality life jackets. You know, we've talked about the PLB, talked about the man overboard. An actual quality life jacket, again, is something that if you are overboard, you want something that's going to save your life, because you can't swim forever.
So we've spent thousands of dollars on safety equipment.
Thousands and thousands.
We hope we never ever use.
Yeah.
And the most important piece is the piece that one day you do need. But on top of the boat and on top of all of those physical things, I think the other safety is the right safety procedures and attitudes, you know, the right practices. At night, we're always clipped on. We don't care whether it's a glass out with zero wind and we're motoring. We are still, we're wearing our life jackets and we're clipped onto the boat. It's a rule.
Yeah, and that we don't break. Because it's
if
safety
you go,
for both of us.
Oh, it's probably okay tonight not to clip on.
Yeah.
Well, probably. You know, where do you draw the line?
Yeah. Weather can come at any time, and so
we have jackstays the length of the boat. So if we do have to leave the cockpit in heavy weather or at night, even if it's calm, we clip on and use the jackstay to move up the
However,
deck.
if we do need to go outboard on a night passage, the other person is woken up. There is always a set of eyes on the person who's at the bow or the stern. There is never just you on watch by yourself out there.
So we talk about safety stuff in the blog.
Yep.
So once again, that's a place for some other information, but we don't believe there's one most important piece of safety equipment. We believe it's an attitude.
And the trust in each
practice.
other, the trust of the crew on board. You need to know that the people that you have on board with you, that you trust them.
Yeah. And we're also motorcyclists, and in that world there's a famous saying that if you've got a $10 head, buy a $10 helmet. If your head's worth more to you than $10, go and buy the best helmet you can buy. And that's our attitude with safety equipment.
Yeah. I hope that answered your question.
Offshore lady. Her question is, living on a boat, what are the pros and cons?
Ooh. The pros takes you very quick to clean the floors.
The pros,
you don't have all the stuff around you.
When you go travelling, you get to sleep in your own bed.
That's very nice, yes. And that in itself, that you are taking your home with you as you travel, which is, absolutely brilliant. You have everything you need here on board when you travel to wherever that you go.
I think the biggest pro is the freedom. You know, if you don't like your neighbours, move. You've got the freedom to make choices.
Yes.
And we just love the lifestyle. We've been doing this now since 2011. And our only regret is we didn't do it earlier.
There's obviously other pros, and people will have different opinions on this, but financially, of course, it is for us
a cheaper way of
retirement, so that and to live. So that is a very good pro. Cons, there are definitely some cons.
Well, if you're out cruising, obviously you're away from family.
Yep. You live by the weather.
Yep.
The weather is the weather is God. It doesn't matter. It's always you're watching it. Morning, noon, night, in between. You don't always have that perfect night's sleep because the weather will change. You hear noises on the boat. You sleep. You really do. You sleep with one ear awake, I always say, and half an eye awake.
Yeah. So, living by the weather is probably the biggest con for me, and the pros so far outweigh that I can't think of a different sort of life, to be quite honest.
Yeah, another pro is that you're learning all the time.
Every day
is different. So there's new experiences, new learning. All right, I hope that answered it.
Fred Allen from SV Aquamarine. This is an interesting one. Fred's question was, if you could choose a crew of 3 to sail around the world with, whom would they be? So I thought about this one for a while, and I've interpreted it to be a bit like that. If you could have a dinner and invite anyone to your dinner,
that's how
who
I
would
think
you
that
invite?
Yeah.
So I thought about this one a bit, and I came up with 3. Obviously, I'm thinking of 3 in addition to Karen.
That's because he wants me to cook.
Because she's my number 1.
He just wants me to cook.
A guy called Steve Brown. You probably won't know him, but Steve owned a boat called Curious and allowed us to go sailing with him as crew in the King's Cup Regatta. And then he called us up for a second stint, and we sailed that boat from Gibraltar across, up the Spanish and Portuguese coast, across the infamous Bay of Biscay and to the United
Across
Kingdom.
the English Channel.
And we've become really great friends, and Steve and his wife Trish actually joined us on our boat El Sharinga in the Mediterranean for a couple of weeks holiday. He is not only a great guy, but he is an unbelievable sailor and and manager of men. The best skipper that I've ever sailed with from those points of view. He's the guy that did complete the circumnavigation of the Americas, and
who gave us that great opportunity and we turned down. Do you see this?
You're forgiven. It took a while. Yeah, but it'd be fantastic to have Steve on board for a circumnavigation. He's done it before too, so I don't know whether he'd even want to come. The next one might surprise a few, but
it doesn't surprise me.
Young lady Jessica Watson. She's already sailed around the world, of course, youngest ever to circumnavigate unassisted, non-stop, right around the world. And Jess is someone that I think would deserve to go around the world and make all the stops at all the cool places that she just had to sail by last time. And a wonderful, wonderful young lady with unbelievable humility and modesty. And yeah, I think she would be delightful to have on board. And my third isn't anyone famous either, really. Well, other than Jessica's hugely famous, but our grandson Christian, he loves the boat. He's now 14. He'll sail with us at every opportunity, and yeah, he's now old enough to be quite capable and a lot of fun, and I think he would really enjoy it. So I came up with 3.
And I still haven't come up with my 3 because...
You'll have to put up with my 3.
Well, it's because, I think of people and then I go, oh, but I'd really like to have them aboard too, or I'd really like to have that person aboard. There are so many people out there that I could share.
Well, I'd have to go around the world 20 times.
Yeah, share this experience with. And that's a nice thing, I think, that there is so much to give.
So Fred, I'm sorry that our first pick wasn't Fred Allen from SV Aquamarine. We don't want to disappoint you, but we do hope we answered your question in a fashion.
Yes.
In a fashion. Ivo says, I see that Karen is an artist. Karen, do you paint on board?
Well, Ivo's been doing a bit of searching to find that, yes, I am an artist, and in many forms, watercolours, oils, acrylics, and yes, I do paint on board. Rob won't let me paint the big paintings that I used to paint.
Half as big as the mainsail. Yeah.
Yeah. So I do miss actually the big scale paintings that I used to do, but now I just do watercolour, and I find that keeps me quite occupied on board, and I still enjoy it. We have a number of watercolours on board the boat that we actually have displayed, which are mine, and we chop and change, and yeah, so yeah, I do still paint on board. And in actual fact, there's just thought of it then, there's a couple of watercolour classes, online classes that I did, and we're actually going to be putting them up for Patreon.
Yep.
So our Patreons will actually get those to watch. And
if you'd like to have a look at Karen's art, have a look at Karen Oberg Artist on Facebook. We'll bung a link in the description down below. But yeah, if you want to look it up on Facebook, Karen Oberg Artist, and you'll see some examples of Karen's art there.
Yeah, and there's some books out there that I've illustrated and such. So,
Craig Hellier, where are you planning on sailing to next?
Out of the marina and turning left.
That's the start.
That is the start.
We had planned to be well and truly up into the Great Barrier Reef Islands already. We've had some delays with life got in the way with a few issues.
And life gets in the way.
We had to sort first, but we're now very, very close to departure.
We are days away.
Yeah, we're still in East Coast Marina at Manly at the moment, but we are very, very close to departure in, it's a matter of weeks, not months or years or anything like that. We will be sailing north. We're going to make our way.
And people are going to be saying, but everyone's now sailing south.
That's fine. They're all coming back. The difference for us this time is we're sailing north.
And we're not coming back.
But we're not returning south. We're actually going to sail up as far as Townsville. And we're going to base ourselves in Townsville over the summer, the cyclone season. We plan to do a haul out up there and anti-foul the boat, etc., through all the maintenance that you normally do.
All that underwater maintenance.
And then
come
if
if the planets align and the world is still peaceful within itself,
and
there's
no
new
epidemics
or health issues that we have to deal with, we will be sailing into Asia again come July next year.
It's our plan to join the Sail to Indonesia rally. A lot of reasons for joining the rally. The biggest one is that the rally organiser, Raymond, makes life so much easier.
Add Dewey in there.
Raymond and Dewey.
Dewey, his wife, is extraordinary.
Fantastic with the service they provide to cruisers that go into Indonesia.
Yes.
Now, we're not necessarily going to follow the entire rally route. We're more than likely to branch off and do our own things. We
spar off as we do.
We sailed the Indonesia rally back in 2011 as crew, and we're really looking forward to exploring more of that area over the second part of 2023, 2024, and
then our plan is
make our way back to Australia. Hopefully around the
long way. We'll head back the long way.
Hopefully around the north side of PNG and via the New Ireland, New Britain, Louisiades, and back to Australia.
So that plan we have written below the high water mark.
Yeah, it's in the sand.
Sand.
And it could change.
Next week.
But Craig, you ask, next, absolutely next is out the marina and turning
left. That's it.
But after that,
that I can guarantee that we'll be doing.
After that, we're looking at Southeast Asia, and we really hope that you
will enjoy.
You can follow us along, sail along as part of our virtual crew through our YouTubes and blogs.
Yeah.
And we are planning on discovering some parts of Asia that we never visited before.
Right.
And it is Indonesia, Malaysia. Absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, we're not sure we'll go through to Thailand this time round. We've done Thailand, but we'll see. As I said, we'll see when we get there.
We've got plenty of places that we've watched. People
so many places to see. And
people like Vernon on sailing, learning by doing. Follow the boat. Nanji.
Yes.
Sailing Florence spent a lot of time in Indonesia, and all went to places that we never went to last time. So that's our big plan. That's where we're planning to sail next. It's still a plan.
Out the marina, turn left.
Okay, this is always the big one, and we're going to finish on this one. Anne from SV Wanderlust asks, how much does it cost?
Isn't that a lovely name? Wanderlust.
How much does it cost to sail per year?
Well, you know the old saying, how long's a piece of string? It really depends on your budget. If you've got $1 million budget, you're going to spend $1 million sailing. No question about it.
That's not us.
It's definitely not us. If you've got our budget, you'll spend to the budget that you've got. And that really is what a budget is.
Yeah.
Because you have to set it within the realms of what you have.
It depends where you sail,
Absolutely.
what you sail, how you sail. We have friends that have and all power to them. They sail from marina to marina.
Yes.
They don't spend a lot of time at anchor at all.
No.
They enjoy
the
visiting.
Marina life.
They enjoy visiting the land stops and having the convenience of stepping off a marina and everything that comes with it. Our last cruise up through the Great Barrier Reef, we went into marinas. I think there was 3 marinas. I think we went into. 3 marinas
we went into. That's correct.
A total of 3 marinas in the whole trip. So it's a lot cheaper if you don't do that. If you drink Moe every night for sundowners, it's going to cost you a lot more than if you go to Dan Murphy's and buy, I think it's watercolour for $7 or $8 a bottle. You know? It depends on your lifestyle, how much it costs.
Yes.
There's an old rule of thumb that they say it costs 10% of the value of your boat per year in maintenance for your boat. I don't know whether that's true or not. I think
It's
averaged across
probably-
the whole lifetime of your boat, it could.
It's probably about that. You know,
Because we've had
saying,
years where we
yeah.
haven't spent anywhere
No,
near that,
that's right.
and we've other years where, well, is it maintenance or is it upgrades? And we've spent a lot more than 10% of
on
the nominal
upgrades.
value of the boat.
Yeah, on upgrades, absolutely. But that's not maintenance. So
One of the
it's-
attractions for us of sailing into Indonesia is it's so affordable living in Indonesia. You're not out at bars every night. You're not out. But yeah, it's just the cost of living up there is so cheap. You go to the market, spend $50, and we get enough food for a couple of weeks.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You got to eat.
Yeah.
So regardless of whether you're in a house, whether you're in a caravan, whether you're on a boat, you got to eat.
But the beauty of it is, once you leave the dock, you put your wallet in the drawer.
Yes.
There's nothing to spend money on. When you go out sailing and head off and keep sailing, that's it. You load the boat up, you buy everything bulk at the best rates, and that's the deal.
So
you know?
the expense is when you come into land, and that's
yeah.
probably why we don't come in very often.
When you go shopping and haven't been shopping for 76 days, which is what happened with our last trip, we spent 76 days from the time we left to the next time we went to the supermarket. And when we went to the supermarket, it was more expensive than a normal weekly shop.
Well, that's right. And then when you refuel the boat and all those sorts of things.
What it takes.
So it's a mindset, I think, of what you want to do.
We don't have an answer for you how much it costs.
No.
It costs us different every time we go, depending on where we go, how long we stay away from land. Sailing doesn't cost you anything. It's when you stop sailing and go back to the shops it costs you money. That's actually the end of the list of questions we've got. Now listen, if we haven't answered the question you've been thinking about, just pop it into comments down below in the below the video.
It's
just
right down there.
Yeah, right down there. Just ask us the question and yeah, absolutely, we'll do our best to answer it for you.
And if this is the first time that you've actually seen our YouTubes,
sorry, they're not all like this.
They're not all like this. Click on back and have a look at some of the earlier ones. We hope that you will enjoy them, and we hope that you'll come along for the ride when we go sailing once again, which is not too long in the future, and that you subscribe. Give us a thumbs up if you like any of them, hey? And
the biggest thing you can do to help us out with our YouTube channel is actually just to hit that subscribe button and preferably the bell. If you hit the bell, you'll just get a little notification in the corner of your screen when you log into YouTube, and it'll say that we've got a new video up. You don't get harassed with anything, and it's absolutely free to subscribe. Cost you nothing.
And comment. Let us know what you actually think about the videos and anything else that you'd like to know.
Yeah, it makes us feel good that someone's actually watched it and taken the time to put a comment down below.
Absolutely.
And that comment can be good or bad. If you think we should improve in some way,
please let us know.
Or we do something stupid, point it out. You know, I mean, the older we get doesn't stop us doing stupid things. It's just we do them slower. You know.
All right. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the future and out on the water.
Thank you.
Cheers.
If you're enjoying our videos, please make sure you give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. It really does help us with YouTube to reach more people. If you also hit the bell button, you'll be notified each time we release a new episode. Come sail with us again soon.